This is like every other problem that I create for myself. I understand what I'm supposed to do. It's not a lack of understanding.
We'll try this down next time.
It's an execution issue. This is Other Maria, the podcast of our real-life conversations about personal evolution, society, relationships, spirituality, and everything else. We're getting vulnerable in these good faith talks and sometimes respectfully disagreeing about which of us is wrong. Just kidding, there's no right and wrong. We're just two friends sitting around talking shit. Talking about deep shit, right? That's what we're doing. Yeah, enjoy.
Hi!
Hey.
We're back!
Oh my god, we're back.
Woo!
Feels good.
Does feel good.
Yeah, I miss this.
Hell yeah.
Welcome
Welcome.
to an extension of the conversation that we've been having our whole lives.
Yeah. Nice. I love it. I hope my mic's okay. Whatever.
It's pretty pro, dog.
Thank you. I don't know why I said thank you. Just to both of us and the universe.
Yes.
For all.
And your mom.
And my mom. Literally, not figurative.
I wasn't being
She was
facetious.
coming for my mom. Or me. Sup?
Great question. My mom took me for a facial yesterday, which was so lovely and generous of her. It was like one of the nice ones where you go into the little room and they have like all the stuff and the tranquil music, and the lady brings me in there and she's like, "How's your day going?" And I was like, "That's a complicated question." And she was like, "Okay."
Oh, yeah.
I was like, "I'm just really happy to be here." And she like brightened up. She was like, "Oh, good. Okay. Like, I know how to work with that."
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been complicated.
Totally.
Because we fully intended to be open to trying this a couple weeks ago. And then I couldn't.
Totally.
We couldn't.
Totally.
Which is just sort of how I've been living my life the last few weeks. I'm going to be open for anything that I have access to, but I never know what it's going to be anymore, or right now, rather. Just like wrestling with that weird, wild animal that is grief.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk more about why?
Yeah, for now, I'll just say that I lost the most important person in my life a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Fucking sucks, man.
Yeah. I know it does.
Yeah. And that's just been a weird experience. What's today, May 2nd?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. April was trash and can, like, get fucked. April was the worst month of my whole life, I think.
Yeah.
Or certainly the most painful. Maybe not the worst.
Yeah.
Because there's some other, like, dark, gritty shit I've been through, but I also am at a point where, like, I have access to all the feelings and without, like, numbing or avoiding.
Yeah.
So, by far the most painful.
Totally.
It's been the most painful experience.
Yeah.
Which comes with lots of confusing things. I will say, though, that part of the confusion is that it's, and not even confusion, that doesn't quite nail it either.
Yeah.
What, polarity, duality, contrariety, I don't know. What's the word that I'm looking for? Where it's, because I always get that wrong. But
Paradox?
Paradoxical. Sure, yes. That's it. Thank you. The one word I didn't pull out. Paradoxical. Because it's pretty much equal parts painful and beautiful.
Yeah.
And there's just an overwhelming amount of gratitude in the acknowledgement of miracles within it. Mm-hmm. Constantly. And the pain.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And I'm so grateful and pissed off about paradox again the amount of people that are so close to me that I can be so vulnerable with that have had experiences with deep or sudden or life-changing loss, and therefore can sort of guide me through this grief, because I've not encountered this before. And like yourself and my friend Cassie and our friend Ed, just so many other people that I can be really vulnerable with, have had such acute instances of this pretty recently, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's just like so wild and unpredictable and just profoundly humbling.
Yeah.
Because for the first, like while she was sick, which thankfully, I think it was like 6 days of the decline, which thankfully was so short in the scheme of things. But also in the immediate aftermath for like a week and a half or maybe 2 weeks even, because it's been about 3 weeks now. Just being so amazed with how helpless I was. Like so amazed. And I mean, I get that in the scheme of life, I am powerless. I get that very tangibly. But just to also feel helpless, like I can't get out of bed. I can't get dressed. There was one night towards the very beginning of this when Cassie offered to come over and she was like, "Do you want me to bring dinner?" And I was like, "What's dinner?" Like, what's food? She's like, "When's the last time you ate?" And I was like, "I don't know." She was like, "Last time you thought about it?" "I don't know." And I truly can't even tell you now, but that is how I survived for like a whole week. There were people bringing food and
Yeah.
I don't know, it was just like so helpless. And then afterwards, I told you recently, I was in the shower, which I was already present with, acknowledging that that was a miracle in itself. And then I'm in the shower brushing my teeth and I'm just like, who is doing this? Wow. Because like the idea of brushing my teeth just felt so big. It was like way too big. Just, I can't wrap my head around something like that. And then to find myself doing it was like, whoa, like that's so cool. It's happening. Yeah, just feeling so unbelievably helpless and devastated. And I mean, I guess there's like a cool aspect to it because it was so profound, and in moments certainly still is, where it's like there is no other worry. There is nothing else. It's just that. So although in moments that follow, I can be judgmental of myself or critical or start to future trip or allow old stressors to come in. But in that moment, it's like there's just the purity to the pain of just, I am so helpless and powerless, which is very humbling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I've been up to. That's how I am. Also, she passed away on your birthday, so you're welcome.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you for trashing your birthday.
Oh my
me.
gosh, no.
For us.
Not at all. Not at all. But the sweetest girl.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about her?
Ooh.
You don't have to.
No, I know. Yeah, so my beloved little angel cat, Maisie, had to go
Yeah.
into a different form. And I feel like it's so interesting. I feel like I want to justify why that's such a big deal.
Yeah, totally. I was getting that sense, and I feel like that's a good,
Probably a good thing to talk about.
it's a good thing to talk about. We really need to honor our animals and animals in general. They're people.
And I always said that. She was just like a little person in a cat suit.
Absolutely.
No, she was not only like the most precious and beloved and favorite of mine living thing in the world. Our pets are our companions, but she was my partner. She's my child.
Yeah.
My little love.
She's the sweetest girl.
I know.
So sweet. So, oh my gosh. So sassy.
She's perfect. She's perfect in every way. She was,
Yeah. I don't know where that, it's just like trashy old stuff. I don't know where this feeling that they're not as important or the grief is less important, you know?
or less significant.
Less significant.
In any way. And I mean, I'm not a parent to a biological child or any human child.
Right.
But I can tell you that I loved her as though, and I still do. Love you, Maze. As though she came from me.
Yeah. Totally.
She has my whole heart. And it's been so interesting, too, to see the magnitude of that in the aftermath. And we were talking about earlier, just this realization that, oh my God, my whole life revolved around her.
Right.
My whole life. The things I rushed home from, the things that I cut short, the things that I didn't do. My favorite activity in the world, just being at home with her.
Right.
She is everything.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
And now,
It's a huge adjustment.
yeah, because I never planned. And my mentor phrased it that way before, like, she was my partner. It was the two of us, always.
Totally.
And this whole process, and she's been gone or not gone, depending on your belief system, is really, you know what they say of like learning how to live life without her.
Right.
Which is so... It's happening a little bit less now, but I often am like sitting here and I can unconsciously believe that like she's just sleeping in the other room. And then the realization that like, no, she's not.
Yeah.
Is jarring.
There it is. Yeah. Very jarring. It's the adjustment period.
Yeah, and I think in a lot of ways, I mean, I want to make the argument, actually, I do. I'll just let myself. That in a lot of ways it's more intense than, or not more intense, but it's more, whatever the fucking word is, than other losses because A, we lived together.
Right.
Our good friend lost her mom last year and has reflected conversations with her dad, comparing and contrasting where they are with their grief and how it's very different for him because he lived with her mom. And her siblings are not having any less of an experience, but it is different because they're more separate from it. They lived across the country from their mom. So
Right.
in that way, it's different. And I don't mean to be comparing, contrasting or anything, but I think it is, and you've spoken to this too, like the difference of losing someone that you lived with.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's just this thing that I can't, and I love my home. I love being here, and I wanted to be very deliberate about not going to spend the night at my parents' or something too soon and like kind of avoiding it because like I love being here. It's just also that this was our home.
Totally. You feel her absence.
Yeah, and I can't get away from it. And then I guess the other thing too is just the love of an animal companion, a beloved animal companion. It's so straightforward. It's so pure. There's nothing complicated. There's no regrets. There's not like there was a strained relationship.
Right.
There's no complication to it. It's just I have spent the last however many years I had her pouring my whole heart, all of my love, just pouring it into her, and she was there to receive it. Mm-hmm. And now, like, my heart didn't stop pouring love, but it's just spilling onto the floor. You know, like, I'm still like hemorrhaging all this love, and there's no one here to receive it in that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's different. I keep fucking twisting this thing. This is incredible. I wonder if I wear a wrist brace.
What if we fashion a wrist brace?
I know we might.
That has like a mic stand in it. And you're just like, hello.
Do you remember that movie Drop Dead Gorgeous?
Yeah, but not.
Okay, so Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah.
She's like the main
ringleader.
She's the underdog. No, she's the underdog.
Oh, right. Okay.
And someone's trying to sabotage her participation in this small town beauty contest. And it's just her and her mom. And they live in a trailer. So one day there's an accident at the trailer, and basically someone like tried to blow up her trailer, and her mom was like freakishly like ejected from it and lived. But her injury is that she had a beer can in her hand at the time. So it becomes fused to her hand. So for the rest of the movie,
she just has a beer can.
She just has a beer can fused to her hand.
We're going to have to fuse the mic to your hand.
Yep. Yeah.
For our listeners, in every episode, you'll notice that suddenly Maria's sound gets like, she's like coming in and out a little.
Right.
Like,
and this is not something that we can blame on our lovely engineer here. It's because I can't stop fidgeting.
Okay. When we first started, the idea you and I had was that you're going to like roll around on the ground. And so you would not want to stand. But like, I get that you fidget a lot, but like you're in a chair. So I do still wonder if this would just help. And you'll fidget around it, but like know where to anchor when you're talking.
Oh, I still know where to anchor. No, I'm not arguing.
No, I know you're not. No, I know you're not. I was going to make fun of you. I'm like, do you? You're twisting.
Intellectually,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah, right. Intellectually.
No, this is like every other problem that I create for myself. I understand what I'm supposed to do. It's not a lack of understanding.
We'll try the stand next time.
It's an execution issue. Okay.
Ooh, what's this gadget? Is it going to shock you every time?
It's like a dog collar. That actually wouldn't be the worst idea.
I'd just be over here.
No, I think if I fidget with my right hand and hold this in my non-dominant hand, we might solve the problem.
Is it a counter?
No, it's a fidget cube.
Oh, it's for I love it.
It's for fidgeting. Anyway, I don't really know who's been operating
Totally
the Maria machine this past few weeks, but I mean, I do. Fucking God. The universe.
But yeah, I think to add to everything you just said, it's like been, I don't know that easier is the right word. We're going to start with easier, but I'm going to amend it. It's easier to ask for help when in crisis than when not in crisis. But I also was just thinking about it, and it's like, easier is not even the right word, because it's more just necessary, because you're like, I literally can't put clothes on today. Like, I need someone to come help me put clothes on. Or like, I literally can't feed myself. I need someone to bring food over. So it's like from the like actual necessity of it, which like then makes it easier, because all of the shame voices or the fear voices or the blocks that we create for ourselves to not ask for help aren't there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it was because I'm still very much in touch with it and kind of wrestling with it at this point of like, how much can I still be asking for? But that was the one thing that was really, really cool and beautiful about this, is that I really, really needed help immediately when she got sick. I couldn't leave her side. Mm-hmm. I couldn't, because you saw her. Like,
yeah, couldn't.
You would, and she... Because we were so in love, she just wanted to be with me, and she would try to follow me, and she couldn't. Mm-hmm. So I really couldn't leave her side. And I remember thinking, like, laying there with her and thinking, my God, you're still actively teaching me right now. Because what she was showing me tangibly in an inarguable way. It showed me all of the people that would drop whatever and show up for me hard. Like, everyone went above and beyond. Mm-hmm. My friends, my family, my brother, other people in my community. I don't want to say they acted out of character, but people stepped way outside of their normal MO and were so happy to do it. And truly, there was like stuff within the realm of like what I could ask for. Mm-hmm. And then there was stuff that I couldn't even think to ask for that people were just pouring into me, into us while she was still here. And then me in the aftermath. And I think what it really showed me, because like I know this on a soul level, but what it showed me physically and tangibly was I deserve this. Mm-hmm. I'm allowed to have this. Mm-hmm. I can trust that when I need help, it's there. And when we kind of touched on it that one night, it was like, I mean, there's plenty of other days too where like anyone can struggle with like, oh, I don't want to get out of bed, or
I don't want to clean my kitchen.
I don't want to clean my kitchen. And why do we justify that we can ask for help when we're in crisis, or just fucking receive help?
Yeah.
Like, not even having to ask for it, but like, why do we tell ourselves we're not allowed to receive it unless we're in crisis?
Right.
So talk about your kitchen too, because that's...
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm just really struggling right now because this is how my stuff manifests, is in my home. Lots going back to childhood, lots of digging and therapy. And my kitchen and my whole apartment is quite disastrous in my eyes. But I'm uncomfortable there. I'm very uncomfortable there. And my kitchen is just like very messy and dirty and like not clean. And there's like dishes and there's old shit and bags everywhere and just like lots of stuff. And I'm having a lot of trouble asking people to come help me clean it.
Or just letting them when they offer.
Or letting them when they offer. That's true. Letting them when they offer. Because they offer and I'm like, no. But that's also the shame cycle of it. Because I've made it so bad, whatever that means. I've created such a mess that I'm so ashamed to let people see the mess that then I can't get anybody to help me with it.
Right. So then back to what you were saying about like when you're in crisis, the shame doesn't come up?
Not as much. Well, I guess because with grief, there's like a excuse for things getting out of order or for not being able to do anything. So like if
there's
someone in my there's justification
for needing help.
Yes. Not for needing help, for having gotten it to that state.
Where
like,
you need help.
Sure. Yes. Yes, where you need help. But I just mean the first part. It's like my kitchen's disgusting because someone just died. Like, of course I don't have the capacity to clean. But if someone hasn't just died, how dare I not have the capacity to clean?
Oof.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we dug into with my last therapy session. It was about, I'm using this term. We didn't use it in the session, but I think it explains it well. It was just like hyper independence. Mm-hmm. And I pinpointed in my friends a lot. There's a couple of friends that I've brought to their attention and they're like, oh shit. And they like have these epiphanies around it. But then I just like don't turn that towards myself. And I kind of don't think I totally realized it till this last session with her, where I was like seeing it in myself because I have shamed myself a lot into thinking I need to be able to do things alone. I take care of myself. I need to
be able to do certain
things. And I should be able to keep my place clean. And I should be able to clean it when it gets messy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my God. We all do that so much.
I know. I know.
Because also just to like go back when your sister died.
Yeah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
Pet Maisie for me. Give her a snuggle. I know that's all they're doing up there. Anyway, wherever they are. Yeah, but when Sarah didn't leave.
Right.
We'll explain that in a second. Yeah, you let me clean your kitchen.
Right.
You let all of us do that stuff. I think even a few times.
Well, I was also too exhausted to not let you. The resistance isn't there.
Is that, because I was going to ask you, like, explain what else that was that allowed you to not resist it.
It's the thing I keep saying to you, or like nothing matters. So for the listeners, like my dad has died and my sister has died. And so same with my dad. I remember that it was different. I was a kid, but I just remember like when all of you came over to the Laszlo's, like a group of friends. And like, I think that's why I stopped doing homework. Like nothing mattered in like a good way, in like a beautiful way. It was like, I could feel the depth of the loss and the love and the, yeah, and like the big nature of it. Even as a kid, I personally was like, what are we doing? Like, what's happening? This is what matters.
Dishes.
Yeah, what is dishes? What is homework? Like, this is what matters. The feelings that this is bringing up. Something about that. So like when Sarah died and I was an adult and had my own apartment, I couldn't care enough to be ashamed of anything. All that resistance wasn't there. And again, it was also like, yeah, of course, someone fucking just died. Take care of me. Like, I can't clean a kitchen. But it was like,
died. Do my dishes, bitch.
Right. But the problem is it's like my own, this is just my voices, but then I pretend like it's outward voices, right? But they're always just like inward voices. I'm like, oh, and people will judge me less right now.
Yeah.
I know it's just me.
Absolutely.
But people will understand better why it's gotten to this point. And all I imagine is people going into my kitchen right now and cleaning it the whole time, being like, how the fuck did she let it get this bad?
Yeah. Right. Which
is just what I'm thinking.
As you know, open offer, judgment free. I will go to your house.
No, I'm ready to ask you guys to come.
Great.
There's just been a lot going on for you.
I know. And to be fair, we did talk about this before April.
1,000%. But since
trash.
your stuff is when I started to get ready to ask people.
Great.
That was what my last session was about. And like Ed the other day was like, should me and Maddie come over and do your dishes? And I was going to say yes, but I wasn't home. I was going to be like, yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, let's have a party.
Yeah.
I was going to say you don't even have to be home, but then we could like make it a party.
I want to be home. I also, remember when you did come over and help me clean? Let's not discount that.
For Sarah?
No.
Oh, recently?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember?
No. What are you referring to?
You came over and helped me clean my kitchen.
Yeah.
A lot. I don't want to discount that. And I think it was a big deal for me to be there and allow it.
Okay.
And just be like, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. And rather standing around being like, I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for that. And I'm sure I did that too. But like, it wasn't
not as much as you could have.
Right. That's all I'm saying. It was not just that energy. It was like, I wasn't even apologizing that much. I might just be making a lot of comments. I know I do that. And so I'm just like, well, that disaster corner that you're in, or like that terrible place. But I know that I also was just like, thank you for being here, and like doing it too. Yeah. You know? But there is like a bigger shame cycle of that. It just keeps happening. Mm-hmm. Like even when it gets clean, it just happens again. And so it's like, there's more there too.
Right. And I think what I just want to offer this.
Yeah.
Part of what keeps the shame functioning, I think, just like listening to you talk, is like the shame is telling you it keeps happening. When it's like, if you can respond to that shame and be like, that's what has happened.
Right.
Then the shame goes, and then it has to like let you try. Like it doesn't have a foothold anymore if it becomes past tense.
Right.
It's like, yeah, that's what I did before.
Definitely.
Then you at least get a reprieve from that to try for it to be different. And if it's not, so what? But you've already killed off some of the shame.
Definitely. But I think I haven't even been chipping away at it until this last couple of weeks.
Totally.
And so I am ready for it to get fucking cleaned. Because, yeah, it's hard not having a space that I feel excited about.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
And restful in and not ashamed of, and can let people, like, y'all, it's dark. I like won't let people come in my kitchen. People come over and I'm like, you can't go. Like literally you can't. And so people are like, I need water. I'm like, stop right there. Like I have to go get water.
I'll get it for you.
I'm like, I will get it for you. Someone's like, I'm going to go get something in your fridge. No, I'm going to go. And it's absurd. It's absurd. My boyfriend has been a fucking angel because he just never shames me about it. It's so nice.
Is he allowed in the kitchen?
No.
Oh, okay.
But what I was going to say is
I was going to come for you.
Absolutely not
Okay.
is he allowed in there. Absolutely not. Not right now. But again, he's just so sweet. He's like leaning in, and not in a way of like, please keep staying shamed and don't fix it. Like, not like that. Because the thing is, it makes him in a really uncomfortable spot.
That's
he has
how
to,
he trapped you.
But it puts him in such a terrible spot because then he has to ask me to do shit for him. He doesn't not want me to do
No,
for
but
him.
I fucking love this.
So
I see this right now, and I love this because he's learning how to have to ask you for shit.
That's true too.
I fucking love it. See,
And
you
so
guys, you guys have the most unconventionally symbiotic relationship. It's brand new. I've never seen anything like it. I don't think any of us have, but it's cool.
It is.
Because we've always not necessarily been able to put our fingers on it. Still can't. But like, y'all are teaching each other a lot.
Totally.
Unintentionally.
Totally.
That's cool. I like that.
No, me too. And
Okay, go ahead.
genuinely, I think it would generally make him really feel bad to ask me for something like that. But
I
now he's like
know.
forced to because I'm like, bitch, I'm getting your water. But anyway, now it's really good at just being like, can I have some water? You know, like,
Yes.
because like, yeah, he feels bad that he's asking, but he also feels bad that like I'm in the place I'm in. So he's trying not to make me feel worse. So then he's asking, and it's really nice. Yeah. And he's just like, can you put this in the fridge for me? And I'm like, absolutely.
Oh my God. Wait, I'm so in love with your circumstance right now. I almost want to revoke my offer to clean your kitchen because I want y'all to get comfortable in that. Like, this is my fantasy for your relationship. I want y'all to both get so comfortable in that and never lose that. And for it to just be totally normal. Like, if y'all are both chilling on the couch at whoever's place or wherever place, and just for like one of you to be the other, will you give me some water?
Yeah.
And just like, nobody feels bad. Nobody takes it to heart.
Totally.
Just like this lovely service.
Absolutely.
And be so comfortable knowing that you both deserve that
Totally.
at any point in time for no reason. And I think this is what we're getting at too, because what we were kind of talking about the other night was like, I want us all, this is my fantasy for everyone's life, I want us all to get to a place where we are so comfortable for no reason asking the trusted people in our lives, can you bring dinner over tonight? Can you hang out with me while I scrub the bathtub?
Absolutely. I know.
Can you come over and sit with me and fold laundry? Can you take me to Target? Can you get me a water? Any of that for no reason.
100%.
Because we all deserve it.
That. And let us go a step further. You will
Please.
come along with this journey because I know you know where I'm going, or you will in a moment, and you will absolutely agree. And also, can we not be codependent with each other? So the whole point is, if you're unable
Yes!
to help,
For the win.
thank you. If you're unable to help, oh man, I would love to come over and bring you dinner, but like, unfortunately I can't tonight. But like, can we pick a night next week that I do that, or whatever?
Oh
or
my
I'm
God.
so sorry I can't do it tonight. But here's why I say that too, because I think we all stop ourselves from the first question because we all were raised codependently in a codependent society.
Hardcore.
Whether or not your
Humanity
parents, yeah,
is
humanity
codependent.
is codependent.
Horribly codependent. And that's our whole problem. Go
Right.
ahead.
Because also, the fear isn't even that the person will say no. The fear is that the person's going to keep saying yes when they don't have the capacity or can't.
And then it's going to come out sideways later.
1000%. Where it's just
I
like, and
think I
I don't
both.
want a martyr. I don't want someone who's just like, gets my text that I'm asking for help, and then they're like, fuck, like I
And then
can't
they-
say no to a person who's in trouble. Like that would mean I'm a bad person. So yes, I'm gonna say yes, and I'm gonna come over, but I'm depleted myself.
And then
that
I'm
made
gonna
things worse for
resent you.
me. I might start resenting you, or like all this fucking stupid layers.
Right. And I think I have, and not very much anymore, but like back in the day. So I think I was afraid the person would say no. I actually don't even think I had back in the day afraid they'll say yes, but can't. That's interesting. But I definitely had I'm afraid of judgment for even having to ask, like the shame.
Totally.
But yeah, all of those things can come up. So like, if we were to model how the conversation could go, I would say, as I actually did this week, I texted you and Emma.
Yeah.
Can anyone come hang out on Friday night? knowing that like I'll just have the evening and
Yeah.
And Emma goes, I have to play it by ear. And what did you say?
I'm not sure about tomorrow. We haven't talked much.
Totally.
Yeah. Totally.
That's it.
Totally.
And like, I don't have a reason for wanting you guys to come over. And I specifically was like, come here. Like, I want someone to come here. That's what I feel like I will need.
Totally.
And I remember kind of second guessing the text too.
Yeah.
Saying like, do you guys want to hang out? Because that's different from like, I need someone to be in my space with me.
Totally.
And here's the great news too. So learning how to ask for that, having solid people that can like evaluate themselves and not overextend themselves.
Right.
And like be
Right.
really balanced about, can I do that or not?
Right.
Which like is the other people's own work. And then also, if y'all can't, it's okay. I ask somebody else.
Totally.
And I know that's tough too, because oftentimes we can operate on the assumption that only certain people can we ask certain things of.
Yeah.
And every time I test that, I'm proven wrong.
Totally.
So I don't really
yeah.
even know what my point is here, but just
No, but you were just the modeling of the whole thing. And so I will add to that, on the other end, I figured it was because this is a very hard time for you and wanting somebody in your space and having a night that you knew I might need some support that night. And I knew that. So then I'm like, well, fuck, like she needs me right now. Like this is a really important time. But I already know, right, the work we're talking about right now. And so I went through that in my own mind too and was like, okay, you got to take a minute to breathe. Take a minute for that codependent energy to wash over you. You know?
Right.
And then be like, do you actually have capacity? What are your next few days looking like?
Yeah.
You know, like how will that play out? And being okay with, unfortunately, perhaps not being available at a time that you might need support.
Right.
And being like, dang, of course I want to support and whatever, you know. And so you just have to like do your own side of it too. It's
right.
Like both sides at all times, all the things.
Right. Right.
But I think, yeah, our friend group has practiced that like so well.
We got
it down.
We're getting our PhD in that right now.
We are. But it is really interesting, the grief thing. That's what we've been talking about this episode. And also just like in general, I am really being self-reflective about it with my apartment as the glaring one of like, why is it so hard to ask for help with that? And I know it's the shame, everything we just talked about, but like versus if I'm like in crisis. But I think this was the other thing that came to mind though when we first ever talked about this. I think there is an element to grief being much more present more often than we think, not only just when we lose people.
Say more.
Because like I feel like death is the big example of grief, or like the textbooks will be like grief is like divorce, you know, like losing a relationship, person dying, losing a job. It's a lot of like loss of tangible things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And not just loss of parts of ourselves. I just made that really cheesy, but that just sounded really cheesy. But I think it's right.
Why'd you do that with your face?
I don't know.
No, because you nailed it.
Yeah. And I think I've been grieving for the last 6 months. Hard.
Dude, that makes perfect sense.
I know.
That was my entire January. I moved into this apartment in late December. Mm-hmm. All of January was me grieving the old me because I lived with my generous, wonderful parents until that point.
Maybe, Mike?
For someone that is so aware of my body, like...
Dude, the fidgeting's real, man.
Just kidding, bitch.
The ADHD is real.
It is. Okay. Grieving old parts of yourself, the old story of who you used to be, the understanding of like who I thought I was, the old parts of me that helped me function in the world up until that point. That was my whole January. I kind of interjected. Go ahead.
No, I want you to go because I think you'll say good things on this. You'll word things well. Let's talk about grieving old parts of ourselves that are dying off, because it can feel counterintuitive when the old parts aren't useful or helpful or serving us. Mm-hmm. And okay, that we know, but like, I mean an example of like something that's obviously like, why wouldn't you want to let that part of yourself go? Mm-hmm. Do you kind of know what I'm getting at? I might need help for a good metaphor. Maybe I don't need a metaphor, but just, I think we should talk about that part of like how interesting it can be to grieve parts of ourselves that are dying off that we don't even like. It's not just like, yay, that old part fell off and I feel better. That's the counterintuitive part for me. You would think it would just be like, oh my God, what relief. I used to like tie myself in knots in X, Y, and Z way.
Right.
And it's actually dissolving. I should be like on cloud 9. And it's not that way. It's often this grief process. And then I think you do end up coming to the like excitement part.
Yeah.
But it's often like grieving, saying goodbye to parts of ourselves that like genuinely don't even serve us.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm trying to get at?
I do.
Okay.
I do. And I think that there's, exactly to your point, that I really agree with. There's so much more grief happening than we are aware of and present for as like the main narrative of how life goes that we were indoctrinated into.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think my example works kind of well because I realized at some point.
Your example does work well.
I realized at some point that I was trapped under this story of how big and independent and capable I was, and it wasn't great. It was very small. It was...
Do you mean before living with your parents? Or
Well, yeah, before living with my parents and living with my parents, which I did during the pandemic, and then for a little while after because I kind of got stuck. Under the story, though, there was no outward tangible reason I was stuck. Mm-hmm. It was that I had this understanding of myself and like what my life could be and maybe like how happy and abundant and thriving and independent I was allowed to be, or like what I needed to put in place beforehand. And then had this unfolding realization of like, oh no, shit, that's just a bullshit narrative that I've told myself. It's this belief that part of me has been harboring that I've adopted as part of my identity. Like, this is part of Maria. This is what Maria is. And then doing this scary as shit thing and saying, that doesn't serve me anymore. And reasoning with it is not going to do anything. I have to simply act differently. So I found an apartment I liked and moved out. And then actually November was a lot of that too.
yeah.
November and January were both contending with the grief of like...
And December.
I believe
Mexico
you.
and stuff.
I believe
like,
you.
No,
I just
yeah.
remember December just being... I was doing other things.
That's sure.
And physically moving. So there wasn't as much time to just be present with the feelings. Mm-hmm. And that distinct grief for me, it for sure was. Like, I think in November it just maybe felt more chaotic, but like in January it was a distinct grief. And it was like saying goodbye to that part of me that had such a limited understanding of who I was and what I could be and what I was capable of.
Totally.
And it wasn't serving me. It was keeping me, my life, my joy capped. And I could see it. But still...
It's okay. It's okay.
Right.
It's all good.
I'm going to do this. We're going to see what happens. Going to hold it like a sandwich.
So the grief and the pain.
Yes. There will be limited gestures. I will now employ my legs for large points. Okay.
Amazing.
I believe what I was saying was all that stuff wasn't serving me.
Oh, your cap.
Yeah, and capping my happiness, and I was very aware of that. We've entered the comedy portion of our podcast.
Cappiness.
The cappy. It was the... Fuck up. Shut up.
I like to portmanteau a lot.
You can't help but portmanteau.
And you said capping happiness, so I had to say cappiness. Sorry, it's right there.
Don't be sorry. Share your gift.
Thank you.
Contending with and saying goodbye to the cappiness. Mm-hmm. No, just because it's like, it was a belief that I functioned under for so long. It was such a big part of my understanding of me, such a big part of my understanding of who I was, my identity, such a big part of my identity. And then to take a visible, tangible action in the opposite direction means that that part of me can't survive anymore. It's got nothing to latch onto. It can't say, yes, see, you're small because you live in this little attic room. Like, this is all you have. Look at your, whatever. It can't survive anymore if I'm taking an action and presenting it with real, tangible evidence of the opposite. Mm-hmm. Before there's been like a new identity, let's say, quote unquote, formed around what is actually truer, which is that, why is this so hard to say?
Do it.
I'm allowed to be abundant and thriving and independent and self-sufficient and fully capable of whatever I want. Nailed it. Before that has time to like take hold, there's like this big empty space where that other piece used to be, where that other story used to be. And to that old story's credit, it allowed me to like get good and be peaceful with my circumstance at the time. Mm-hmm. Like, it served me to a point.
That's a good point.
It took care of me. Leaning on that narrative gave me comfort for a long time until it became clear that it was limiting me. Mm-hmm. And saying goodbye to a part of me that provided so much comfort and served me so well is a loss. Even if it outstayed its welcome.
Right.
It's a loss. And I've heard that from like people talking about addiction sometimes too, where it's like, I think like in addiction recovery, there's so much shame that has to get processed. But one of the helpful perspectives for parts of that is to actually be grateful for the addiction, because in most cases, like that I'm aware of, addiction is this like avoidance of one's own emotion or experience and like largely shame. And it's kind of like a traumatic response too, because let's say something happens and then it feels too big for me, and then I go numb it out with an addiction. That's how I got through it. Mm-hmm. Like that addiction allowed me to move through that experience and the aftermath of it, when otherwise I may have not been able to. And I don't know what the I may have not been able to looks like.
Right.
I'm sure it can manifest in all kinds of ways. Like, shame kills people by way of suicide. Embarrassment kills people by way of suicide. And that's probably not the only one. But I don't know what other biological or like nervous system shutdown mechanisms there could be to overwhelm. Like, we know about fight or flight and then like the freeze state, like the paralysis. Who the fuck knows? That's not the point. I am not well versed in any of that to speak to it, but the perspective of that addiction or like that old narrative that I had of myself served me. It got me through things that were too big for me to handle at the time. Yeah. And if there's any part of me that has served me and been good to me in some ways, and it's time to say goodbye to it, that is grief. That's a grieving process.
I know.
It's a chunk of me falling off.
I know. It's so interesting.
The end.
Yeah, no, it's just so interesting to me. And I know it to be true. It's just really interesting.
Yeah.
It's counterintuitive. So to tie it all together, I think that's what's been happening for me. Not only that, like, I don't think every time I don't clean my kitchen, that's what's going on, or maybe. But I do think there's like this grieving process of like this giant transition that I'm in. And I do think there was some amount of numbing. Like, actually, what you were just talking about does kind of resonate for me in the last 6 months, just to kind of get through it as well as I could. And I got sick of it. Like, that's what I'm feeling the last month. Yeah. I'm like, and we're good. We're good. Like, yeah. Like, and I don't want to keep doing that. And not because I'm like, I don't want to keep doing that. What's wrong? Like, I can't stop and I don't want to. I'm literally like, I don't want to. That doesn't even help anymore the way it was, you know? But I think that's sort of how the kitchen got created, was very much like being in grief and needing to just watch TV and like lay around and not clean and just somehow feed myself by like ordering a lot of food. And there's a lot of the shame in there too. There's a lot of voices of like, you wasted a lot of money. Yeah.
I love that.
I know. Like, you wasted so much money. And the other thing is, like, I like cooking. So it's like you're not even doing the thing you like. Or made it so messy you can't even cook anymore. And then you're not feeding yourself. And then you're just ordering takeout all the time. So you're wasting all this money and you eating blah, blah, blah. And to my credit, I've done a really good job of not letting it be very, very loud. So I just could kind of rest. But then it manifested by like this other thing. Like often
that you can't help but be ashamed of.
Right. And so it's still there. I do not want to discount that I've been pretty gentle with myself while there's like huge shame voices. I know that. But I did allow that 6 months of just like, oh, this is where we're at.
Right.
But which did get me to be like, I got to go back to therapy.
Yeah.
We got to sift through some of these voices.
And now you're like, dude, you hit the ground running with that.
Therapy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
that's
really
true.
did.
I know. Well, my
Like-
therapist also hit the ground running. I was like, oh my God. But like,
Right. But like you were primed for it.
Definitely.
You've done it before. And so it's like,
definitely. And this is the most intense experience I've had with it ever.
yeah, but you were like
Yeah.
literally, I mean, I'm just watching you like discard old shit left and right.
Oh, yeah, that's hard to hear. Because I don't even feel like I'm discarding it yet. I feel like I'm getting at it. And then like,
Bitch, I am observing you.
okay. Yeah.
Blossoming before, blossoming.
Did you just portmanteau? Blossoming and galloping. Blossoming.
Is what a horse does through a field of tulips.
No, I hit the ground running while I bloom.
Yes.
I'm
you're
blossoming.
Oh my God, just kill me. It's ridiculous.
Never stop. No, I'm just kidding. I'll never let go, Jack. Okay.
No, I'm watching you blossom, and you need to hear it because I didn't even know that you weren't aware of it or that it would be difficult. But like, no, you're showing up differently. I love it. Congratulations.
Thanks.
I'm so excited. You're inspiring.
Cool. Okay. Thanks. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sit with your discomfort.
Oh, compliments. Ow. Yeah, man. I think we did it.
Code team.
This is how we're finishing.
For anyone listening, the microphone has been a journey. You might want to check out the video.
Yeah, for anyone listening, you might want to take a gander at Maria. It did kind of work
An
at the end here,
ongoing
too.
experiment.
We're trying a stand next time.
Okay.
That's what we're doing.
I do feel like this works.
Just prayer hands.
Kind of. Yeah. I need to be like this perpetually anyway, so
That's right.
just stick a mic in there.
Perfect.
God, can you hear me better now? I know you heard me before requesting acknowledgement.
The drama.
Just kidding.
Requesting acknowledgement. Love it.
Send me a sign, dog. Okay, just kidding.
Thanks, brah.
No, for real. Thanks for everything. Okay, the end. Bye. Love you guys. Love you guys.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, and most importantly, share. This episode was hosted by Maria and Maria. Theme music composed and performed by Maria. Logo design by Maria. Recorded and produced by Maria. Snacks provided by Maria. Moral support provided to Maria by Maria.